Have you ever been in a discussion with a person or in a group of people and you're physically present, but then realize halfway through the conversation that you have not heard a single word that's been spoken? Oh, I have. Years ago, I was part of a small group. We would meet monthly for purposeful dinners, discussing random acts of kindness and how we can really make a difference in the world. It was a time in my life, it was very busy. Our real estate company and mortgage company were thriving. My son was a teenager involved with every sport imaginable. I volunteered at the church, volunteered at school, and I was just running a million miles an hour. And I'm sure some of you can relate. I was constantly distracted on my phone. Then one evening, something happened. We were at one of our monthly dinners and in the booth, and they were staring at me. I felt there's something different. And they said, "Bopi, we have to have a hard conversation with you." I could feel my blood pressure rising, going, "Okay, what?" And they said, "Well, we love you. We need to ask you to leave our group." Oh, I could feel the tears welling up in my eyes and just feeling so anxious and didn't understand. I was confused. I looked at them and I said, "But why?" And they said, "Well, we feel that you are always distracted. You're not truly present with us. And we don't feel that you are respecting our time and our energy. And you don't really hear us." And you know what? They were right. That day was like a punch in the gut. I was ashamed and embarrassed at my behavior. And the whole purpose of our group was to create connection. And here I was, through my demonstration of my behavior, I was creating disconnection. So that day I vowed to change. I committed to be fully present and give others the respect that they deserve in every relationship in my life. That moment shaped the way that I approach every relationship in my life. And I am not perfect at this by any means. It is something that I have to be mindful of every single day in every single conversation that I have. And I do catch myself. What I learned that day was called heart-centered listening. It's a way of truly being present and truly connecting with the person in front of us. It's listening really with the intent to understand, not just to respond. At the core of human existence, we are all seeking connection. We all want to feel that the person in front of us truly sees us, hears us, and values what we have to say. This desire for connection doesn't just arise from merely exchanging words. It flourishes when we truly listen. Then what happens is, when we listen in this way, is that we foster deeper connections. Whether it's with a client, a loved one, a friend. Heart-centered listening isn't just about extracting information. It's about creating a safe space for people to be vulnerable and authentic. It's about tuning in to their emotions, their fears, their goals, and their hopes. I have two examples. Have you ever been in a conversation with a friend that you needed to confide in? You were being vulnerable and you needed to talk about a certain situation, and the person is on their phone, posting on social media, texting, and not looking at you? And how does that make you feel? But then on the flip side, have you ever left a conversation where you felt lighter and more connected and understood? Well, that's what happens when you listen with your heart and not just with your ears alone. This kind of listening, what it does, it builds and deepens relationships. I love the quote, "The biggest communication problem that we have is that we don't listen with our hearts. We listen to understand. We listen to reply. Too often, we're all just waiting for our turn to speak, instead of really listening to the heart of the conversation and the person in front of us. However, when we listen with the intent to understand, everything shifts. That's when connection happens. I've been in real estate for over 30 years, owning and leading companies, coaching real estate agents and brokers nationwide. Leadership has been a key part of my career. And what I've learned through time and experience is that true leadership is listening with your heart. It helps you understand the person in front of you, what their goals are, what their needs are, and that assists you as a leader in order to support their growth. Once I was coaching an agent, brand new agent, and she ran out to the car. She goes, I have to go and catch the seller. I'm like, okay, great. She runs out to the car, and she's talking to him out there, I saw, and he runs back in, and I said, well, what did he have to say? And she looks at me with a blank stare. She goes, I don't know. I go, what? Confused. And she said, I was so busy thinking about the questions I was going to ask him and what I was going to say next that I didn't hear anything he said. So we had a talk. And so what I always love to say, and I like to teach people, and something I use myself, is come from a place of curiosity. When you're speaking to someone, a client, a friend, anybody, come from a place of curiosity that you really, really want to know. And so she took that on, and she really took it to heart, and her whole career blossomed, and she became an amazing agent. Now I want to share some practical steps that you can take to listen with your heart. Steps that I teach agents and that I use in every day of my life, both personally and professionally. Listening with curiosity creates trust and opens the door for deeper, more meaningful relationships. So step number one, is ask open-ended questions. The one phrase that I love is, tell me more about that. What that does, that invites the person who is speaking to dive deeper, giving them space to share their thoughts and their feelings. It shows that you're not just listening for facts, but you're listening with a story behind their words. Number two is to suspend judgment. When we listen, it's easy to rush to conclusions or to plan what we are going to say next in our response before the person has even finished speaking. Sometimes it's a sensitive subject, so that can stir up our own emotions, leading us to react from an emotional level instead of responding thoughtfully to what the person is actually saying. Heart-centered listening requires us to suspend judgment, to be present. Instead of formulating your reply, focus on understanding what the other person is truly saying. You might find that there's a lot more beneath the surface. And number three, I think we've all heard often, is reflect back what you've heard. This step is about validation. It's about understanding and showing that person that you are trying to understand what they're saying. You can say, oh, I see that you're frustrated, or hear that you're frustrated because of such and such. Or what I hear you saying is. And what that does, this gives the person more of a chance to validate what has been said or explain even further. So I'd like to leave you with this. In every conversation, ask yourself, was I truly listening? Was I present? Was I distracted? Heart-centered listening is not a skill that's reserved for therapists, coaches, or leaders. It's something that all of us can use in every area of our life. Whether you're a real estate agent, a parent, a friend, a partner, learning to listen with your heart can transform the way you connect with others. So the next time you find yourself in a conversation, put your phone down, look at the person who is speaking, stop thinking about what you're going to say or plan your response, and really hear them. You'll be amazed at the connections you create and the impact that you can have on yourself and on others. Thank you so much.